I choose to speak about the Boston Massacre because when we started reading and learning about the American Revolution, I felt that it was one of the most, and if not the most important event that led us into war and freedom from the British. The Boston Massacre took place in Boston, Massachusetts on March 5th in 1770. The massacre occurred between the colonists of Boston and the stationed military troops from Great Britain. It started out as the colonists protesting and throwing snowballs and other objects towards the troops. However, the stationed troops took action once one of them got hit, and it ended with 5 Boston colonists dead. As shown in those pictures, the Boston Massacre was a very gruesome event. So why would the colonists want to endanger themselves and the troops in the first place, you might be asking? Well, the colonists did not like having those foreign troops in their town barging in and then enforcing colonists to pay for what they thought were unfair taxes. Therefore, they were upset because of this, and then they started protesting, and that's when it turned into the Boston Massacre. The conclusion of the massacre was that the 8 soldiers and commanding officer from Great Britain were all put on a trial, and while 7 of them were proven as not guilty, 2 were charged with manslaughter. And as for the colonists, 5 were killed and 3 were very injured. An artifact that has been found and said to be from the massacre is 2 musket balls. A musket was a type of gun the British would carry around, and obviously the ball was the bullet used to fire. These musket balls were made by pouring lead into a ball form and letting it cool. After the cooling had ended, they would snip it down and shape it into the perfect size and shape in order for it to fit the musket and fire perfectly. They would also wrap the ball of lead into some type of cloth to help it fire better. As explained, the Boston Massacre was one of the crucial reasons the Patriots went into the Revolutionary War. Someone who had helped stir the feelings around was Paul Revere. Paul Revere had printed out an article that stated the British troops had fired into an unarmed group of colonists. Although it was pretty inaccurate, the colonists believed them, and it stirred up their feelings and eventually motivated them to go into the Revolutionary War. Therefore, I do believe that the Boston Massacre is one of the most important moments in America's history because I believe it is one of the most important events that led us into the war. If I had been there on that scary night as a colonist, I probably would have been angry that intruders were in my town. However, I would have not wanted to stir up their feelings anymore because they were in charge and they did have guns. So I would have tried to protest peacefully. However, if I was there as a troop and I saw colonists start attacking me, I probably would not have fired because I would not want to deal with the guilt and shooting at people, whether they're innocent or not. And if in either position, I can understand why both sides were upset and scared.